intro, huh? Listen to that fucking riff. Listen to that guitar tone. Oh, man. I just found out about half an hour ago that Eddie Van Halen died. And, I fucking cried, man. Like, I straight up cried. Eddie Van Halen has been with me my entire life. My entire life. My earliest memories are listening to Van Halen with my friend Lisa Segro. 4th grade. 5th grade, maybe. I mean, like, it was the first band that one of the first bands that I listened to outside of my parents' music. You know, we discovered Devo and Duran Duran and Van Halen. And I remember we loved all of them. Like, we loved all of them. But Van Halen, we were like, this is the hard shit right here. Like, this is the hard shit. Like, her family had just bought a new refrigerator. And we took the box that the refrigerator came in and we cut out electric guitars that looked like Eddie Van Halen's guitar and drew strings and, you know, we made that piece of cardboard look like Eddie Van Halen's guitars. And we sat there, and every time we played Van Halen in her room, we'd fucking bust out these cardboard guitars and fucking play them. Because we were like, this is fucking crazy. Like, what the fuck is this? Is that a guitar? Like, a guitar doesn't make that noise. There's no way. Like, we just never heard anything like that. And, I mean, seriously, like, the first... You know, it's crazy. I was just talking to my friend, too. I was talking to my manager, Joseph. I've never seen Van Halen. In all of these years, I never met Eddie Van Halen. I never saw Van Halen. And it all just kind of hit me. I just had never... I mean, I don't know why I was on tour or what, you know, like we were touring behind whatever record most of the time that they had just done that most recent reunion with David Lee Roth. And, man, I am stunned. I'm shocked. I'm fucking stunned right now. You know, I was on Twitch the other day, just playing, and somebody was like, hey, play Eruption. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll play Eruption. I know that shit. And I played it. And as I was playing it, I was thinking, God damn, this song is still so fucking hard. 40 years. I mean, it is the dexterity and flow and just, it's fucking genius. 78. I think he wrote it in 77. It's fucking 43 years old, and it's still one of the greatest, if not the greatest guitar solo ever put to record. It is. It's the greatest guitar solo ever put to record. I'm trying to think of something else that might top it. There's nothing that tops it. There's no other guitar solo that's ever been on a record that beats that. Sound and flow and structure and key changes and just fucking, you know, even now that finger tap part. I've been playing that finger tap part now since I started playing guitar, probably, you know, a few years into it. 30 years, it's still hard as fuck to get clean and get the like the whole the 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 perfectly timed. And oh my god, I'm just I'm just in fucking utter shock. I fucking cried. I feel like crying right now. Like, I seriously just can't fucking believe Eddie Van Halen is dead. I had his picture up on my wall when I was a teenager. I posted it on my Instagram, the picture that I found, which I couldn't believe I found it because it was from like Circus Magazine or something. And I mean, I stared at that fucking picture 24 hours of my life. Like, this is the coolest motherfucker I've ever seen. He had the hair, fucking had the body, fucking guitar was cool. He had this cool style, like the fucking red bandana around his neck, and he's shirtless with suspenders, and fucking the red guitar with the fucking white tape, and the fucking his guitar is a fucking beautiful mess. It's dirty, and cigarettes burning on the top and picks on the bottom, and just, you know, it was fucked up. You know, it was fucked up looking. And that's what made it so cool. That's what made it so fucking cool. Fucking quarters screwed into it and shit. Like, fucking, just a fucking mess. I remember I stared at that picture so much. I had a bunch of Van Halen pictures up on my wall. I had Judas Priest, I had Van Halen, I had big old Black Sabbath flag, 666, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. And then I started incorporating, I had Ozzy Osbourne, I had Randy Rhoads, I had the Ozzy picture disc. I think it was a Mr. Crowley picture disc, and it had like a bonus track, like a B-side on the other side. And but I had a lot of Eddie Van Halen because I loved Eddie Van Halen, and I loved Van Halen. Like, I fucking loved Van Halen. Like, I'd say, like, that first record is just so fucking, just top to bottom. It's just relentless. It never lets up. It's just fucking such great songwriting, such great arrangements, such cool ideas. And I always tripped that it was like not really stereo, like the drums were in the middle and the guitar was over to the left and the bass was over to the right. I was like, there's no guitar on the right side. That's crazy. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I've listened to that album on headphones. And and I was, as a kid, I first started playing guitar, and I got turned on by like Black Sabbath, and I got turned on, I was really starting to get into thrash as a kid. That was like my early kind of gateway. Sabbath was the first band I learned how to play Sabbath first, because it was, simple, Sweet Leaf. And then my friend, he wasn't my friend, but this dude down the street who played guitar named Roger. He's kind of a dick, actually. But he was like, do you know, because I was playing everything single note. He's like, you know what a power chord is, bro? I was like, no. He's like, you gotta play that shit like a power chord. And he showed me how to do the two notes. Down, down, and I was like, my mind exploded, and the world opened up. I was like, that's how you make that sound? Everything had to be that sound now. And then I started learning some thrash stuff. But I was like, I got to learn some fucking Van Halen. Because I knew that shit was the hard shit. Like, that was the hardest shit anybody was going to be able to play. And so I did. I started, I'd spend hours. I'd fucking do a big line of speed. I started doing drugs at this point. I'd do a big line of speed, and then I'd just fucking sit there, and I'd try and learn I'd play. I had a Radio Shack cassette player. It's like about this tall, about this wide. Put the cassette in, just play it. I'd literally sit there and stop, start, and just like, wait, rewind it. How does that go? Rewind it. How does that go? All my Van Halen cassettes. Just learning every little step of the way. first solo I learned was Mean Streets. That's the easiest one I could learn. It's just like one note. But it was a weird timing. You know, like it's all like in the whole. The beat's like. And it's like. I can't even tell you how many times I've stolen from that song, Mean Streets. You don't even know how much Machine Head shits I've stolen from there. Violence licks that I fucking stole from that song. What violence? I can't blanket on the song, but I definitely, there's a Van Halen, there's a Violence song where I straight up stole the fucking solo from Mean Streets. And a Machine Head. None but my own. I was totally complete. There's definitely a part in there. It's right out of fucking Mean Streets. I loved Van Halen. Oh my God, those first 5 records were so fucking ridiculously good. They were so good. What a fucking band. What a fucking band. Just over the top everything. Just sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Anger, pissed off, lonely, left out. But Eddie's guitar and that guitar tone. Motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here with that. The guitar tone, still untouchable. I mean, just savagery. Complete savagery. I play a 5150. I play the Eddie Van Halen EVH 5150 because that motherfucker was the king of the guitar tone. That he's been selling those. Every metal band you fucking know playing a fucking 5150. Don't think that those things just it's just sound. They've got it. Whatever it is, they've got it. And whatever it is, he had it. Just the fucking. He had an ear like nobody else. Genius. Greatest of all time. The fucking GOAT. There will never be another. There will never be another Eddie Van Halen. I tell you what, I've gone back to those records, I don't know how many times. I have gone back to Van Halen records to just, okay, I'm going to fucking work on this. I'm going to figure this out. I remember at one point, I can remember this. This is crazy. I remember at one point I was on tour on The Blackening. This is 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 2010. It was the last tour we did. It was with Hatebreed. And we were in Australia, and me and Frank from Hatebreed, we always bugged out on Van Halen. We were like, we'd get drunk when it's funny because we started off the tour sober, and then both of us fell off the wagon within like 2 days of each other, completely separately, like not together, just fell off the wagon and started drinking again. And so by the time we got to Australia, we were raging pretty hard together. And it was crazy because hold on, my Twitch just went out. Weird. That's freaking super weird. I ended up getting a copy of Eddie Van Halen playing, what song was it? It was something off the first record. I want to say it was Could This Be Love? That's a Bob Marley song. Let me go. I got Spotify pulled up here. Let me pull up. What song was it? It was it Ain't Talking About Love? Maybe it was I'm the One. It might have been. It was either Atomic Punk or I'm the One, but it was just like a guitar track that had just come out. It was a guitar track that had just come out because of Guitar Hero. You know, like they had to do all those separations to get all the songs on Guitar Hero. So all of a sudden they started coming out with all these like solo drum tracks, solo vocal tracks, solo guitar tracks. I remember getting it, forwarded it right to Frank from Hatebreed, Frank Novenik, and we fucking sat there texting. I must have listened to that thing 15 times in a row. I listened to that thing 15 times in a row and just like my fucking jaw was on, like the shit that he's doing. Even I'm not even talking about the leads. I'm talking about the shit in the rhythm that's just kind of like the little fill in, like the little, okay, we're at the end of the bar, do something. I mean, it was insane. The detail, the color, the flair. You know, they say the devil's in the details. That motherfucker had the devil running through his soul. There was so many details. So many details. It was crazy. It's incredible. And it still is. I mean, I'm just talking about, you know, one or two songs that I got the solo tracks on that I was just so blown away by. And that, you know, that's 10 years ago. I'd been playing guitar at that point for fucking 25 years or some shit. And it was still just fuck. I remember the first time that I was able to play Eruption. I'd been working on it for months. There wasn't no fucking YouTube how to fucking tutorial. This is way before tabs.com. Like, motherfucker, you had to listen on a fucking cassette and try and figure shit out on your, like, there was nothing that was going to help you. You know, maybe your older buddy Guitar Hero could show you a couple licks, but half the time they were fucking wrong. You know, like you wanted to get that shit down, you just had to listen 100 times in a row. Anyway, the first guitar that I got, I told my dad my dad had bought an acoustic guitar. This I used acoustic guitar, a classical guitar actually, like the nylon string. And he said, you know, if you like this, jam on this for a while. And I love that. I picked it up. I started figuring out all the songs that I wanted to play on that. And then I was like, I want to play guitar. Like, I want to play guitar. And he was like, he wasn't into it. Like, neither of my parents were into me becoming a musician or, you know, playing guitar. And, you know, I was already getting in trouble smoking weed and you know, drinking and shit. So this just seemed like, you know, more trouble to come. And I was like, Dad, I really want to do it. And he's just like, well, he's like, I tell you what, I'll rent you a guitar. So we went down to this place called Allegro Music in Fremont, or in Newark. I don't know, Fremont. I want to say it's in Fremont. And he said, if you stick with this, he said, I'll rent you the guitar. It was for 3 months. You rented the guitar for $45. And it was just a cheap fucking piece of shit guitar. Came with an amp about as big as my wallet. I'm going to show you my wallet right here, because literally the amp was like 4 inches by 4 inches. He said, if you stick with it, then we'll talk about maybe getting you like a cheap guitar to jam on. But you know, my family didn't have a lot of money, and so you know, $45 was a big deal. You know, and so it was like, okay. I was like, I'll do it. And so I got on there and I started jamming. It was an Aria 2 Stratocaster, but I wanted a Strat because that's what Eddie Van Halen played. And I was like, motherfucker plays a Strat, like you're gonna grow up to be Eddie Van Halen, which makes no fucking sense at all. But I sat there with that Strat in my room for hours. And sometimes I'd just stare at that Eddie Van Halen picture. And I had another picture of him. I'm not sure if it's the exact picture that I put up on Instagram, but I had another picture, and he was holding the guitar pick. He was doing a solo, and he had like kind of one leg out, one leg bent down, and he was kind of doing a guitar solo. He was almost in that like Richie Blackmore pose that's kind of famous for. But he had the guitar pick like this, and if you're not watching YouTube right now, he had it between. Usually, you hold it between your thumb and your first finger. That's where almost everybody holds their guitar pick. He had it between his thumb and his second finger. And so I just stared at that picture and then looked at my second finger and my thumb and was like, well, I guess that's how you hold it when you do a solo. Wrong, just wrong on all accounts. And I had a couple people, like a couple of my friends, and I went to a couple lessons, but I hated lessons. I was like, they're constantly telling me just hold it with the your first and your thumb. And I was just like, well, Eddie Van Halen holds it with his second finger and his thumb. So I'm going to hold it like Eddie Van Halen because he's fucking sick-ass guitar player. So fucking, And, it's funny because I guess that was his style. He did it like that. And nobody else I knew did that. And because I stared at that picture for so long, I just mistakenly assumed that that's the way everybody did it. And that's why I do it. I now hold, every time I do a solo, I switch. I've got my, actually I hold my rhythms with 3 fingers. So I got the first, second, and then my thumb. And then when I do the solo, I just got the second and the thumb because of that Eddie Van Halen picture that was on my wall. I was 15 years old, 14 years old. Anyway, I got past that, and then my dad told me that he would match me. So I got past the first 3 months. My dad told me he would match me for, I had just gotten a job, and I was working at a Chinese restaurant, and he said that if I saved up money, he would match whatever I saved him towards a guitar. And so I saved up $200, and we ended up buying an Ibanez Explorer, a candy apple red Ibanez. It wasn't called the Explorer. It was like the Ibanez ripoff of the Gibson Explorer. It might have been called like a Destroyer or something. I can't remember what it was. Candy apple red. No, was it a V? No, it was a V. No, it was a flying V. I think it wasn't an Explorer. It was a flying V. And yeah, my first V, candy apple red. Look at me guitar. Total look at me. Look at me. It was great. I loved it. Didn't have a bar, though. And so, I played that for a while. And kind of like all my early stuff I played on that guitar. And then I was like, I'd continued working. Now I got a job at Marie Callender's, which is a restaurant. It's like a chain restaurant throughout the United States. I don't know if they have them anymore, but I was dishwasher, and then I had worked my way up to busboy, and I was making hella money. I was making tips and fucking. I was working my ass off all summer, and then I said I wanted to get a guitar with a bar. I wanted to get Eddie Van Halen had just dropped the Kramer. His deal with Kramer. He had just come out with a Kramer Strat. Came with a Floyd Rose built in to it. So Floyd Rose was already like, and I was like, man, I want to get that fucking guitar. And so I saved up all summer, and then I think I was a little bit short, and my parents chipped in like a couple $100. But we went down to Guitar Center, had to drive all the way down to fucking San Jose to get this shit. It was a million miles away. But we ended up getting it. And this thing was $800, which was fucking a lot of money for me. But this thing was butter. Oh my God, it was fucking butter. The fucking neck was so nice. I mean, it was like, this was a real guitar. Like, this was finally a real guitar that I had. And it had the fucking bar and fucking, at this point, I was already starting to worship Gary Holt with the fucking whammy bar, and this thing did everything that I wanted, but all the Eddie Van Halen, wow, just all that, everything. I mean, this thing, I played this guitar, this Eddie Van Halen Kramer Strat, for hours every day. Hours every day. I mean, it consumed my life. literally, like it consumed my life to the point where I just like fucking my grades were to shit, and like all I did was play guitar. That's all I wanted to do was play guitar. I wanted to learn Randy Rhoads licks. I wanted to learn Van Halen licks. I started learning some George Lynch shit. I started learning. I never really could do the Yngwie thing, but I tried. Because Yngwie had sick vibrato, and I loved that. He had really fucking badass vibrato. So I took a lot from that. I could never get that fucking crazy arpeggio shit down, but kind of here and there. But Eddie, like I could lock into the Eddie shit, and it was always so fucking like, it was always hard. It was always, those Van Halen songs were fucking tough, man. But I loved that guitar. Oh my God, I loved that guitar. I had that guitar through all of Forbidden, all of Violence, or most of Violence. I think I broke the neck at one point. But I had that Kramer Strat, that Eddie Van Halen Kramer Strat, and that shit was fucking awesome. Great guitar. Well made, played amazing, sounded great. Played amazing though. Like the neck on that thing was fucking, that's the thing that I loved about it. The neck was really pretty narrow, like it was a really narrow, and it was wide, but it was narrow, and the frets were super slick. I know that sounds weird to say, but a lot of time the cheaper guitars have like these really sandy, scratchy frets, so that when you do vibrato, or just even when you're fretting it, it just goes under your fingers. And I know that's like a weird thing to like even kind of, if you don't play guitar, you probably don't understand it. But that was the first guitar where I had real frets, where it was like, oh my God, they were so smooth and like fucking, there was no scratch. Like, so when you did vibrato or you did a bend, it was like, whoosh, it just glided. Oh my God. I remember, I was like, Eddie Van Halen. I was like, this motherfucker knows his shit. He knows how to make a guitar. I tried a couple other guitars after that. I stuck with Strats for a while, and then we tried. He came out with the EVH, the 5150, the Eddie Van Halen amp, the 5150. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking too much gear talk for everybody here, but like I'm just assuming that everybody knows what I'm talking about when I throw all these names out. But I guess I should not assume that. But yeah, for Burn My Eyes, we tracked the Eddie Van Halen, the 5150, and I was like, oh my God, this thing is fucking, it had this mid-range that you just, it was, especially for us, we were tuning down to B. There was just something magical about the mid-range that thing had for B, to be tuned down that low. It was just, it had this, was low, this fucking mid, this low mid that just nothing else had. Blew all the Marshalls out of the way. Blew all the custom things that we had out of the fucking water. Yeah. Yep, Burn My Eyes was recorded with an Eddie Van Halen 5150 amp. And that is a huge part of that monster guitar tone. That and the fact that I quad-tracked almost all the guitars. So 2 on the left and 2 on the right side. And then one guy playing it. That same, pretty much every Machine Head record, except Supercharger. That was the only record where we didn't use a 5150. Blackening, that's 2 of me on the left, 2 of me on the right. Eddie Van Halen, 5150 amp. Yeah. Yeah, he knew his tone, man. He later came out with a Fender 5150. He took the name, he left Peavey, went to Fender, which probably made sense because he had played Fender Strats his whole life. And in fact, I think some of those early guitars weren't even Fender Strats. I think they were just like some fucking mishmash of shit. Like it was like some so-and-so neck and a so-and-so body, and he like just put like a Fender logo on it or something. I don't even think it was a Fender. Which is great because he used to build all of his guitars. He like fucking was some mad scientist building his fucking guitars and rewiring pickups and fucking changing plugs. And he fucking went into the back of his amp and he put a little power suppressor in the back. And I'm like, all this shit that nobody fucking knew this shit. Like, no, there wasn't no band dude in the 70s and fucking early 80s that like fucking power soaker. What? In the back of your amp? What for? Makes it heavier. Okay. You have fun, Eddie. And then everybody heard it and went, oh, fuck, I need a power soaker. Whatever the hell that is. But he got some time. He was like crazy brainiac when it came to that shit. And I loved reading about all that. He rewires pickups to have extra fucking this or extra that around the magnetic coils and, put certain, all this crazy shit that I don't even understand. But, yeah, he had a crazy ear for it. Yeah, just a crazy ear for it. Crazy mind for it. I never met him. I heard some wild stories about him. All those stories about, no brown M&Ms. They'd trash the dressing room if they got brown M&Ms in their fucking catering rider. Rager. He was supposed to be a fucking coked out maniac. Maniac. Cocaine. He married Valerie Bertinelli. Valerie Bertinelli, who I fucking had the biggest crush on. So if he couldn't be any cooler for being just the sickest guitar player ever, I forget what the name of the show she was on. There's some famous shows she was on back in the 70s and 80s, and fucking she was so hot. God, I had a fucking biggest fucking teenage boner for her. Ugh. And Eddie Van Halen married her. I was like, motherfucker. Eddie Van Halen married her. And, yeah, I mean, those first 5 Van Halen records, I stuck around for, I liked 1984. I wasn't quite all over the keyboard thing, although I do love Jump Now. At the time, though, I can tell you that I wasn't, like, all about it. I did love Hot for Teacher and Panama. Those are fucking bangers. And then after that, I liked the Hagar, Van Hagar. It was less guitar-oriented, definitely more keyboard-focused, which he also did. So, I probably should revisit those records because I just haven't really gone back. And then there was the Gary Cherone era, which I just couldn't. No, I just couldn't do it. No offense, Eddie Van Halen, I just couldn't do it. And then they did the return with David Lee Roth, and that was really awesome. And awesome just because they took old Van Halen riffs and turned them into something new and exciting. And I remember hearing that going, oh my God, this dude's guitar playing is still so freaking ridiculous. So incredible. It's just incredible. I want to play you some of my favorite songs. But yeah, isn't that crazy? I never met him. So here it says, this is funny. The first album that I ever heard by Van Halen wasn't Van Halen 1. I started off at Women and Children First. For everybody who's listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, we're probably going to get hit with a copyright strike for some of these songs. So if that happens, we're going to have to mute it or it won't play anywhere. So hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we can kind of sneak it by. If you're listening on the podcast, it won't get hit with a copyright strike there, but on YouTube it definitely will. But the first song that I ever heard by Van Halen was this song right here. Oh, wait. Oh, and the Cradle Will Rock. Oh, yeah. Little guitar in the background there.
Well, they say it's kind of frightening how this younger generation swings. You know, it's more than just some new sensation. Well, the kid is into losing sleep, and he don't come home for half a week. You know, it's more than just an aggravation. And the cradle will rock.
finger picking. And that fucking incredible phaser that he had on everything, that goddamn NXR phaser.
Local kid gets down, they try and drum him out of town. They say you could at least faked it, boy. Fake it, boy. At an early age, he hits the street, winds up tied with who he meets, and
He's unemployed. His folks are overjoyed.
in the cradle.
Look at that solo there, huh? I stole that riff. Stole that little lick.
Have you seen Junior's grades?
This is a jammer right here. Everybody wants some. Fucking guitars are savage in this. All that shit. Oh my god, that's all over Burn My Eyes. All that shit. It's all Eddie Van Halen right there. This is a banger right here.
Everybody can't hear a minute on a subway line. Conductor don't like it, says you're wasting your time. But everybody wants some. I want some too. Everybody wants
But you want to hear the banger of the record? This is the banger. Pantera. Don't think they didn't steal it. Not right there, but you know what song I'm talking about. The Abbott Brothers. But love Van Halen. I was picking Dimebag's brain. I was like, this Lost Control sure sounds a lot like a new level. It's like, like, you know I love me some Van Halen.
you way too civilized. Lost control, lost control, lost control. Lost control, lost control, lost control. Lost control, lost control, lost control. Lost control, lost control, lost control.
I played this at a Robb and Friends. This song, such a good song. Solo. That glorious phase. You know what that is. You know what song I'm talking about. Here you go. You gotta go right here. You gotta go to Eruption. God damn, listen to that guitar tone. So heavy. when the band played live back in the day, and he did this part, he would turn his back to the audience so they couldn't figure out how he made that sound. I always thought that was great. But here's a jammer right here. But here's the banger right here. Oh, Atomic Punk. Scratching. This is like early hip hop right here, scratching with that fucking glorious flange. I've got all kinds of effects, so many effects, just because of him. Actually, it's a phaser, not a flange. Phaser, flange, reverb, the delay. Riff. Again with the phaser and the little slapback echo in the back. You can't hear that? Oh, that's such a cool little detail. He had all kinds of effects on the entire time he was playing. Made it fucking come alive. Baby. And then I remember loving Van Halen 2. I remember loving this song in particular. Somebody give me a doctor. Bottoms up. What year is this? Oh yeah. 79. Check this out. But this right here was always the shit that I was fascinated by. This was the classical eruption. It's called Spanish Fly. Sick. Butter, baby. That shit's so buttery. But right here, this right here, this is guitar insanity, this song.
On my block, and I see the same old faces, and I hear that same old talk, and I'm searching for the latest thing. I'm breaking this routine. some new kicks, ones like you ain't never seen. This is home. This is Main Street.
Go to solo though. Solo this shit right here. Right here. Ah, honey. Right here. None of my own. Coming up. Jack this shit right here. Just out of the intro.
It ain't once upon a time. It's all over, but the shouting. I come to take what's mine. We're such a
This is the banger right here. This is the banger. This chord is the weirdest, hardest fucking little chord. This song sounds so easy and it's so fucking hard to get right.
You say, I cannot get there from here, baby. And I don't care where I'm going. Here's to your thin red line. Ooh, I'm sending away. But you never miss me till I got a bad city address.
Weirdest little fucking riff. That's some Eddie and Alex shit right there. That's some Eddie Van Halen, Alex. We've been playing together since we were fucking 6 years old, and fucking we can lock in on some crazy rhythm like that. It's the weirdest little rhythm. Beat stays straight, but he's filling in the holes. Oh, it's fucking an anomaly, man. Little lick here. What's on Diver Down? Where have all the good times gone? Let's see. Oh, I sold that too. Where have all the good times gone? I don't know too much about Diver. I didn't love Diver Down. I'll be straight with you. Maybe Hang 'em High. Yeah, I think I liked Hang 'em High. Pretty Woman was the big hit out of it, but I was like, eh. I think that Dancing in the Street. Yeah, that was a good right there. Little guitars. Woo! That is some black metal, eat your heart out. Man, he would have been a sick black metal guitar player. Fuck. It would have been rad just to hear them pull off a black metal song. And then we got, you can't go wrong with this. If, like when you were growing up in my era, pre-YouTube, pre-taps.com, you had to figure this shit out note for note or you were a bitch. You were a bitch. You didn't know how to play the beginning to Hot for Teacher on guitar. You weren't even, no one even fucked with you. You had to know this shit. Even in the thrash scene, you had to know how to play some Hot for Teacher intro. You weren't even worth your thrash salt. Right here. This shit right here. Look at this lick. Woo! Shit's smoking. Even by today's standards. And y'all know Panama. Little finger tap. Killer chords, all finger picked.
Oh, wow, man. Wait a second, man.
I dropped my
What do you think the
pencil.
teacher's gonna look like this here?
Everybody likes jump, but it's not a jump. No, it's all about Panama, bro. Fuck jump. It's all about Panama. You know who likes jump? All those Shakira fans and shit. Like all those pop fans that came to Van Halen like way after the fact. And that's cool. Helped them. I still think it's a fine song. It's all about Panama, bro. Right here. I've never done a oh yeah, in Machine Head in my life. I've never done that. And then, what do we got? I don't know too much about the, fucking riff right there. The riffs, motherfucker, riffs. You wish you wrote riffs like this. Every guitar player, motherfucker had an arsenal. I think this song's got a great intro too, if I recall. In and out. This is Pound. This is Van Hagar for unlawful carnal knowledge, which if you do all the first, oh, here's the beginning of here. Hey, right here, white knuckle blackout, doing the drill. Not as cool as Eddie, but hey, we stole it from Eddie. White knuckle blackout, for real. See, what I didn't like about this, I'm not saying that I didn't like it, but just the guitars were so far in the background. I want the fucking guitars loud, man. This was the big hit off of this record. And this is more like Eddie on the piano, which is rad too, because he's fucking sick on that as well. Just insane. This is Right Now. I tell you what, though, Chinatown. This is the last official one. There we go, guitars. That's what I'm saying. Fucking crank those guitars, goddammit. Don't give a fuck. Drum schlums. Fucking bass schmace. Fucking guitars. That was cool to hear like this kind of guitar shit again, in a Van Halen record. Loud. Still got that sick tone. It's all happening downtown. You painted daughters of the tongue underground, don't mess around. Welcome to Chinatown. Well, you bring out now. Guitar master country right there. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Sad day for rock and roll. It is a sad day for rock and roll. It's a sad day for guitar playing and guitarists the world over. And, man. He made so many people happy. He made so many people learn. He inspired so many people to pick up a guitar and play. You know, Van Halen achieved great success for sure. But it wasn't because they were trying to write fucking hits. They were just writing, they were trying to write the heaviest shit of their day. They opened, there's a very famous Black Sabbath Van Halen tour that happened. The very first, it was Never Say Die tour for Black Sabbath. Van Halen's first tour for, after, years in the club scene and killing it. They came out and blew Black Sabbath off the face of the earth. The entire tour. I mean, it's a legendary story. Legendary story. I did not see it. My manager saw it. My manager, Joseph, went to the show. And he said he went there for Black Sabbath and fucking just left with his jaw on the floor over Van Halen. It was so over the top, and they were crazy in the pyrotechnics and just songs, and David Lee Roth as a frontman, and Eddie Van Halen as a fucking guitar force of nature. Force of nature. I honestly got to say, if it wasn't for Eddie Van Halen, I don't know where I'd be as a guitar player. Such an influence on me. He was huge influence on Trey from Morbid Angel, huge influence on Dimebag, huge. I was just texting with Gary Holt right about this. I was like, dude, oh my God, I'm fucking Eddie Van Halen. We were talking yesterday, and I was like, fuck, I'm fucking crying right now. Like I was in tears. I'm fucking still I'm on the verge of crying right now. Like I'm genuinely sad about this. I'm genuinely sad. It's like the end of an era. It's the end of it's the end of an era. When I got the news, I broke down and I just fucking cried. Gary Holt, all of the bar stuff, all of the tremolo bar, the Floyd Rose shit, massively inspired by Van Halen. Same with fucking Dime. The Abbott brothers loved Van Halen. That was the ultimate to them. It was the ultimate to them. And you saw it. Dime was, the Eddie Van Halen of thrash, if you will. Or not thrash, but, metal. Randy Rhoads, hugely influenced by Eddie Van Halen. Apparently, Eddie Van Halen had a huge problem with Randy Rhoads because he felt like he ripped him off, which I found out years later. That was really funny. Like, fuck that motherfucker. Like, super pissed about it. Shit, like all furious about it. That's fucking great. I love hearing shit like that. We're all fucked up and we're all a fucking mess. Just makes me happy to hear people are a mess like me. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where. I can't even imagine where guitar playing would be. He raised the bar so impossibly high. I mean, he took that shit to a level that it had never reached. 40 years later, guitar players are still playing catch up with the shit that he wrote back then. That's saying something. When you're that far ahead of your time. That far ahead of your time. That 40 years later, people are still trying to figure out the shit that you did. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, I don't, people like, they're not going to be saying that about me 40 years from now. Or 15, I guess 15 years from now. But, you know, the impact that he had on my playing and Machine Head, and undeniable. And he'll go down as the greatest. My book. You know, Dime for other reasons. But Eddie Van Halen's where it started for me. You know what I mean? Like, Eddie Van Halen's where it started for me. And I hope he's up there jamming with Dime and getting a band together with some fucking awesome band up there. Or down there, wherever they are. Hell, heaven, I don't know. Be cooler if they were in hell, wouldn't it be? Wouldn't it just be better if they were in hell? The band will be better. The drinks will be stronger. Pussy will be better. Some fucking crazy wet ass pussy down in hell. You ain't getting wop up in heaven. But yeah, man, that's my tribute to Eddie Van Halen. Rest in peace, legend. Thank you for lighting the world. Thank you for everything that you brought to the world. Everything you brought to music. Everything that you brought to guitar playing. For inspiring hundreds of thousands of young men and women. Peace.